Man dies shown the future of mankind in the strangest NDE. Will leave you speechless. Hello, I'm Brian. Something amazing happened to me. I felt like I left my body and saw it from above. It was like I was floating in a green mist. I felt really calm and peaceful, and I didn't care about my body anymore. I think I left through something called the pineal gland in my forehead. I watched my body until I felt it was completely gone. Then, I saw a bright light and felt drawn towards it. I didn't have any control over it. I traveled through a tunnel with beautiful colors, feeling loved and safe. It was like I was flying through space. Eventually, I felt like I reached heaven. I felt surrounded by family and friends, even though they didn't have bodies like mine. I heard a voice telling me I was home in God's light. They said their name was Antonia and that they were one of my guides. They mentioned I had 2 more guides. Then, I heard another voice that sounded like my brother Peter. It made me feel comforted, like he was taking care of me like a dad would. It was all so beautiful and comforting. As I mentioned before, when he died, it really hurt me inside. But then he told me he was alive again and said we needed to go for something called a life review. I didn't know what that meant, but we went anyway. He took me to another beautiful place. They started showing me moments from my past, from when I was a kid. I saw myself and Peter, both looking young and great. They showed me times when I helped my friends, like when my mum gave me money to take them to baseball games or to the movies. It was a wonderful time of friendship. Then they showed me my teenage years, all the good things I did. I saw myself winning awards and being happy with my friends. It was like reliving those moments all over again, but really fast. Suddenly, I found myself in an ambulance with my partner, Danny. We were responding to a call on the highway. We were really close to where the emergency was, so we rushed to help. There was a police car and a truck at the scene. A young boy was hurt, bleeding from his forehead. I grabbed the medical bag and rushed to help. The boy's sister was stuck in the windshield, bleeding badly. We needed to act fast. We couldn't wait for the fire truck to come with special tools. So, carefully, we lifted her head off the glass and got her out of the car. She was bleeding a lot. I tried to stop the bleeding while we drove to the hospital. The girl's brother was crying in the back of the ambulance. She started having seizures, and it was hard to keep her still. I prayed for help, and I felt someone comforting me, even though it wasn't physically happening at that moment. We reached the hospital quickly. The nurses were ready to help. They took her straight to surgery. My partner and I were covered in blood, so we had to go back to the station to change. I couldn't stop thinking about the girl. It was a really tough day. The next morning, I still couldn't stop thinking about her. I hadn't slept well. I talked to my partner about it before we had to go back to work. I said to Danny, "Wake up," he asked why, and I told him we needed to go to Parkway. He reminded me that the girl we helped was dead, but I convinced him to come with me anyway. We drove quickly to the hospital, even though it was a bit out of our way. When we got there, a nurse told us the girl was doing well and even sitting up in bed. It was a relief to see her alive and well. After that, they showed me the mistakes I made in my life. It was hard to see all the hurt I caused. I felt the pain I had caused others, especially when they showed me leaving my first wife. It was overwhelming, and I begged for forgiveness. Then, everything changed. It was like a realization. I felt a sense of acceptance, like I had done good things too. Antonia told me to look at myself. I remember telling you about when I traveled to what I call heaven, because I believe in God and the universe. Antonia asked me to look at myself, and I saw that I was surrounded by a beautiful green light, just like them. It felt amazing to be back in that love and light. On the other side, you have much more knowledge and understanding than here on earth. The feeling of love there is indescribable. I believe in God, and I believe all good people go to the right place, whether they believe in Jesus or something else. I met my third guardian, Orin, who told me I did fine. Then, we went to what I call the Hall of Events. It was like being in a giant theatre, watching events from all over the world, and even my own birth. We moved through time at incredible speeds, witnessing historical events like President Kennedy's assassination. I remember coming home to my mother and her friend Christine, who used to take care of me when I was younger. They were singing, just like my mum used to do when she was younger. My mum used to sing in a big band, and her friend Christine sang beautifully too, like Diana Ross. They sang a lot at home, but one day when I came home, they were crying at the kitchen table because President Kennedy had been shot. It was a sad moment for all of us. Then, in my near-death experience, I saw many events from history, like the end of the Vietnam War and the deaths of Martin Luther King Jr., Bobby Kennedy, and John F. Kennedy. I also saw my own death and the events of September 11th, 2001. During 9/11s, I felt like I was there, watching everything happen. My guides told me not to run because it was my future, and nothing could hurt me. Now, I believe we're in a time where we have choices to make, a time of change driven by advancing technology, which I wrote about in a book called Choices many years ago. I explained in my first book how technology like robotics can become advanced. While technology can be great and create jobs, it's up to us to choose how to use it. Our choices now are crucial for creating jobs and bringing peace to the world. I was shown two possible outcomes for the future based on our decisions. One outcome looks like a world in complete devastation, like something out of the movie Mad Max with people fighting over basic needs like food and water. It's a scary and inhumane future. The other outcome is a utopia, where kindness and service to others bring about a better world. We live in a world where our actions determine our future. Kindness and helping others lead to a better outcome, while selfishness and crime lead to destruction. We need to address issues like homelessness and poverty by providing aid and support both locally and globally. Our infrastructure needs improvement, and we must work to uplift not just our own country but others too. Our choices shape the world we live in, and it's up to us to choose the path of kindness and goodness. We're currently in a time where we need to correct our course and strive towards a better future. Sure, I can talk about that. Humanity's future is something many people wonder about. Even though I'm not some kind of psychic or fortune teller, I can share what I've learned. Sometimes I get these feelings or intuitions about things happening, like back in 2002 when there was a bombing in Baghdad. Before and after that event, I had these vivid dreams about tornadoes causing massive destruction. Then, not long after the bombing, there were actually about 300 tornadoes in the southeastern part of the US. It was a scary time, and those dreams felt so real. I believe our Earth is like a living being, providing us with air and water that are essential for life. It's crucial for us to take care of our planet because it's like our life support system. When we harm the Earth, we're ultimately harming ourselves. So, looking after our planet is vital for the well-being of humanity.